Faraja TV, authentic African voices.
Hi, and welcome back to yet another episode of the mental health segment on today's live show on Faraja TV. As usual, I'm always excited to have you here. Today, we're going to talk about a very, very important, vital topic. All the topics we discuss on this show are very important, but some are more important than others. So today, we're going to talk about loneliness. I'm going to share with you some of the people who are at risk of being lonely. I'm also going to share with you how can we prevent, being lonely. How can we prevent ourselves from being lonely? And also, if you're already lonely, how can we come out of that? As usual, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Let's dive into it. So, loneliness. Loneliness is a state of the mind. It is a state of the mind, but then also it's an emotion. People feel lonely. You can be around people all the time, 24/7. You can be surrounded by people, a crowd, be around people 24/7 and still feel lonely. Did you know that? I also want to tell you that it's sad that 1 in 3 people today, in the era of social media, Gen Zs, 21st century, 1 in 3 people are lonely. You'd ideally think that, because the social media, people are able to access others online. People are able to associate with others whenever they want to, but that's not the case. 1 in 3 people still get lonely in today's generation. And so that's why I felt like it's very important for us to discuss loneliness on the Mental Health Show. So, 2 people that are very, very prone to being lonely. The first people are people that have very low self-esteem. When you have always comparing yourself to people, when you have very low self-esteem, you're always comparing yourself to people. You're always like you don't feel confident, you don't feel worthy, you don't feel enough. You always feel like, what if I say something that's wrong? What if I do something that's wrong? Your self-esteem is very low, and so you always dissociate yourself from conversations. Do you know people who zone out in the middle of conversations? Yeah, those guys normally have low self-esteem. It is not that everybody that zones out has low self-esteem. Most of them actually have low self-esteem, and so you find that they detach themselves from people easily, and they find themselves being lonely. And loneliness can actually cause depression, anxiety, especially if it is prolonged. If you are lonely for a very long period of time, you find yourself depressed and anxious. So today, I'm also going to tell you that the other people that are prone to loneliness are people who are introverts. Introverts. Your character is, I'm an introvert, they're introverts, they're extroverts, ambiverts. So the guys that do not find it easy to associate with people, the introverts, always find it easy to be lonely because you have social anxiety that is built up, and so you find yourself feeling lazy to associate with people, and so you build a certain cage where you feel comfortable, but if you do it for a long time, you end up being lonely. And we have seen that it can affect your mental health because loneliness is not a mental health challenge, but it causes mental health challenges. And so that's why we need to pay attention to people who are often isolated all the time, alone, because they can easily derail into depression and anxiety, and we don't want our friends getting there. So how do we see that people who are often lonely, what habits do they adopt in order for them to not feel lonely? So we see them using substitutes, and some of these substitutes can be drugs and alcohol. So they easily get addicted to drugs and alcohol, and we have not seen times when these cause positive effects or they have positive outcomes. So we don't want our friends becoming drug addicts or alcohol addicts, and then we see themselves removing themselves from human connection and getting attached to devices, TVs, phones, somebody that's always watching movies, like they're so detached from the world. So when they go into the real world, or like people who are addicted to like games, especially the men who are addicted to like games, you find yourself attached like a virtual world, that when you get into the real world, you feel like you cannot attach, like form some kind of connection with anybody. And so you are prone to being lonely, which can cause you depression or anxiety. So we say, how can we prevent this? How can we prevent ourselves from being lonely? One is find a hobby. Find a hobby, and you can only know your hobby if you're intentional. Normally, people who are lonely, it's not because they it's not a must that everybody that's lonely has failed to form a connection with people, but it always starts with they fail to form a connection with themselves. They don't even know their hobbies. They don't even know what they like. They just know what makes them comfortable. So you need to find a hobby, but then also find people whom you share a hobby with. Once you feel lonely, find people who, like if you enjoy cooking, if you enjoy partying, if you enjoy, you have a hobby, swimming, get somebody with whom you enjoy swimming and do the activity together. Another way we can prevent ourselves from being lonely, or we can overcome loneliness when we are lonely, is to find people that we trust and have conversations with them. You need to be intentional about this. You need to find people with whom you share an energy. People who have vibes like yours. And you guys can vibe together, that thing. But then also people you can have real, honest, deep conversations about things you're passionate about. It could be sports. You can discuss about sports. Who won, which team lost, which team won, which song, music, anything that you find, anybody that you can hit a vibe with, please. You need to surround yourself with people like that. And then another thing is you need to carry out mindfulness. Mindfulness. Do yoga, have quiet time, connect with nature, and all that. You're trying to connect with your own soul. You're trying to connect with your own soul so that you can know where you belong. You can know your hobby. You can know what makes you happy. You can know which conversation you're interested with. You can also monitor how solitude is a very important thing. So you can also be able to monitor how your state of the mind is, and you can always be calm, because lonely people, especially introverts who don't like being around people, you need all the solitude you can get. Then of course the last one is therapy. I encourage people to go for therapy. I'm saying it the last time. I encourage us to go for therapy. It's very, very important. I know in Uganda we don't have so many therapists, or maybe it's expensive, but it's very, very important. It's very important for us to go for therapy in order for us to overcome this loneliness. Also, therapists are going to help you connect your mind to your soul, to your surroundings, to your brain, so that you can be in control of your brain, and at the end of it all, you're in control of your surroundings. You're also in control of everything that happens around you. So we need to overcome loneliness. I hope that we find friends who are important to us, and I hope that you find therapists who are important to us. If you have trouble finding therapists, please don't hesitate to DM us, Faraja Television, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Then we can share with you some of the resources that we have. Then do not forget to subscribe. And of course, we are in the Mental Health Awareness Month. And so today my quote for you is to be kind. I'm always encouraging people to be kind, but today I'm encouraging you to be kind to yourself. Be kind with yourself, be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, so that you can express the kindness within you to the people around you. Otherwise, thank you for reaching this far in the show. I'm always looking forward to reading your comments and liking them and engaging with you all. Bye-bye. Till next time.